Pretend Nicole's behind you.
Hey everybody, and welcome to Facebook Fridays Live. This is my new series that I'm going to start doing every Friday with you guys. So I'm going to be doing live Facebook Fridays just to keep you guys informed about your health, about new things that I'm finding out there as I'm out there in the world, going to expos, learning new things about health, learning new things about supplements, about superfoods. If you missed my Tuesday talk, you can go back and watch it on my page. It's all about superfoods. Today I'm going to be talking a little bit to you guys about health sabotage. Are we doing things that are sabotaging our health? So that's what I'm going to be getting into in a minute. And yeah, I meet so many people and they tell me, okay, well, I can't lose weight, or I'm feeling, I have all these symptoms, or I have these feelings, but I eat healthy. And how many times have I heard that? I can't even tell you. And then when I start to have them do a food diary, or we start going a little deeper into what they're eating, it turns out there's things that, even if you're eating a little bit of it, can be actually sabotaging your health. And because I've been living this lifestyle for 20 years, and because I surround myself with people like Caitlin and other people in my life that are eating super well and even eating a super clean, healthy diet, we kind of talk about it. We're like, yeah, I feel like there's this myth out there that about what eating healthy actually is, and I use quotes because sometimes people think they're eating healthy. Hi Allie, welcome. How are you? But eating healthy so I guess what I want to say is there's different nuances to eating healthy, and it really depends on where you are now and where you want to go. So if you're someone who's already relatively healthy, you haven't had any symptoms, you're just cruising along in life, you're fit, you're in shape. I mean, when I think about this, I think of a lot of guys that are like in their 20s and 30s, they're working out, they feel good, they're like, I can eat whatever I want, I feel great, and I eat healthy. That's what they tell me. So, that's fine. And what I'm here today, if you're watching today, then you're going to probably be someone who's more interested in how to avoid some of these health pitfalls. And by no means am I telling you how to, that you can't eat these foods, but I'm just saying, if you're experiencing any issues with things, if you're experiencing any health challenges, you might want to take a look. And take a good hard look, because I feel like eating is also a spiritual practice. And what I mean by that is an ego sometimes, and I'm talking about myself here, I've noticed in the past, can tend to come in like, don't tell me how to eat. I already eat healthy. I know what I'm doing. But I have to keep even dropping that ego and looking at what have I been doing for the last 20 years that's worked? And what do I know I'm still doing I'm doing and kind of tricking myself, thinking that it's working, but if I really took a close look at it, it might not be working. So before I get into health sabotage and what we're doing to sabotage our health without knowing it, and what we could do to improve our health, I'm just going to talk about an example for me. Now, since I've been doing raw foods for 20 years, I've definitely run the gamut of being 100% raw and eating absolutely no fruit, no sugar, no nothing. Not even one blueberry for a whole year because I wanted to get rid of candida, which I did. So that's great. I figured that out and I hacked it to the nth degree. I knew exactly what worked and what didn't work. I'm going to get into some of those foods today, which were things that even to this day for me are a little bit of a saboteur. Yeah, I can have a little bit of that, tamari on my food, but I know it's going to cause bloating, just maybe little subtle things, but it's your body talking to you. So how does our body talk to us? One example for me that recently I gave up for good, because I was holding on to it as one of my last grains, one of my last holdouts, is buckwheat. Now, a lot of people do really well on buckwheat, so I'm not saying that buckwheat is your health saboteur or going to be unhealthy for you. I'm just saying this is an example for me of what was happening. So I would notice, because I am a Pitta constitution, if you're not familiar with Ayurveda, you should look that up because it's really cool. There's different doshas and different constitutions. My constitution is a Pitta, which tends to run on the hot side. So even as a kid, I remember being in the car, and my mom always was saying things like, oh, you hot thing, because I always had to have the window down. I mean, even as a kid. And probably that had to do something with food allergies, because I was eating gluten, and I was eating dairy, and I was eating a lot of unhealthy foods even as a child. So my body was talking to me by overheating. So now I notice if I eat buckwheat, raw, sprouted, super yummy in a bagel, or even as a buckwheat granola, I will be sweating all night long and really sweating. And in the past, what used to make me sweat is things like gluten and a lot of carbohydrates. So today, now I find for me that I just don't do buckwheat because I just found that I'm not willing to suffer all night sweating and feeling hot and overheated because I live in Arizona, and even though it's cold now, it's not always cold. So that for me, it was a red flag. And so now when I meet women that are eating like a healthy diet and saying, yeah, you know, I'm getting hot flashes or I'm getting sweaty at night or whatever, I'm like, well, do you still eat buckwheat? And so they may or may not be. Because I know with different types of diets like macrobiotic, they really promote the buckwheat noodles and people are like, it's healthy. So healthy is a relative sliding scale term. And I talk a lot about this in my classes, all my online classes and my in-person classes, about how health is a sliding scale and so is alkalinity. So if you're first starting out with eating a healthier diet and adopting more raw foods and adopting more plant-based foods, and you start eating buckwheat as a substitute for wheat and gluten, you're gonna feel amazing. And then maybe one day your body's like, I don't want that anymore. So what I find the best way is to figure out what could be sabotaging your health if you feel at all imbalanced. And it could be little things. You might feel like, hey, I'm really healthy, but you notice that you're sweating a lot, or you notice that, you know, you can't lose that last 15, 20 pounds, or whatever it is for you. Start a food diary and start noticing how you feel after you eat your meals. And even if you've been eating healthy for a long time and you're like, I figured out my diet, you know, it's always a good practice just to kind of revisit what you're eating and what's working, what's not, and it will change by the seasons as well. So I'm going to talk now about a few things that I just feel are overall general things, especially with vegans that I meet and with people that are eating a healthy diet that aren't necessarily eating what I call a clean diet. So there's a difference between a clean diet and a vegan diet and a plant-based diet. Like there's a lot of spaces in there, a lot of things that we can look at. I just want to see who's here so I can say hi. Hi, Krista. Hi, Sally Miller. It's good to see you back here again, Sally. Sally and I have known each other for years, and you had that cafe called The Garden Diet, I think, or there was some cafe you had. You'll have to remind me what it was. And so hi, I'm glad you're here. So yeah, let's talk a little bit about the most common things, which you guys listening are really well educated and probably already know about, but maybe other people that are going to watch this later, or if you're watching now, this might be new information for you. The top one that is pretty common now that a lot of people know about, but we're still in the minority of people. Like, we think everybody knows about it. It's because of all of our friends are already into it, but gluten. And I think a big mistake, and I'm not going to go a long time on gluten because most of us know about wheat belly and grain brain and all the things, how gluten is sabotaging our health. But the interesting thing is sometimes even the smallest amount of gluten, like in nama shoyu, which is supposedly healthy, nama shoyu could be sabotaging your health because there's just even droplets of gluten in there, especially if you're celiacs. But even if you're not, if you're someone like me who just does not do well on wheat because my feet get hot and I get irritable and my hands get puffy, that tiny bit, or if you go, oh yeah, I go out for sushi every once in a while, but I get, you know, the vegan sushi and it's just avocado roll with a little rice, but then are you dipping it in that soy sauce, which that soy sauce not only has gluten in it, it also has MSG. So that Kikkoman soy sauce is poison. That's pure poison. If you are going to go out for sushi with your family and get vegan sushi or get whatever sushi you're going to get, bring your own coconut aminos with you. And I recommend coconut aminos over tamari because tamari still has soy in it. So the level of like from evil to least harmful are Kikkoman soy sauce. Just never eat that again. Nama shoyu, which in Japanese I believe means raw, like raw shoyu sauce. Get rid of that one because now that's on the bad scale, because even though it's raw, like when I first got into raw, and I think Sally, you've been here that long, as long as it was raw, it was okay. Like, I'd rather eat raw nama shoyu than cooked tamari. You know, that's how people were thinking. But now we know that that's not really the case. It's like, what is this ingredient that I'm eating, and is it an allergen? Is it something that's going to sabotage my health? So the next one would be tamari. And now tamari I feel is a lot better than nama shoyu or than a regular soy sauce, but it still has soy in it. And soy is, I talked about soy the other day, but soy is something that's very acidic, acid forming in the body, so it's going to cause disease more than it's going to heal disease. It is a better than food, but it's not the best ever food. So I would say get rid of tamari if you can, and switch over to coconut aminos. Now, as far as I know, things can change. We're always learning new things. But the tamaris, like there's one that we buy on Thrive Market. If you guys haven't been over to Thrive Market yet, I think Caitlin posted it on the last one, but she'll post it again. We give you guys a special link so that you can get a free, like you can get a discount, or you get your first order free or something, or maybe you get a free gift. But that market is better than shopping at Whole Foods, better than Amazon, because they're really doing their best to bring whole foods to you guys, raw whole foods and all kinds of organic foods at a really good price. And they sell their own coconut aminos is way better than the Coconut Secret. The reason for that is it's richer, it's thicker. I feel really fine when I eat it. Sometimes the coconut aminos can make me bloated. I don't notice that the Thrive Aminos does that. But again, with any of these foods, you don't want to start going crazy and hog wild. I think it's good to keep any of these, what I would consider a processed food, because it's still cooked down, it's still processed, to a minimum. So let's take a look at that too, like how many processed foods do you have in your house right now, even though you're eating, I'm going to keep using the quotes, air quotes, healthy, because it's really a relative term. Like, yeah, healthier than is what we should say. Well, I'm eating healthier than my dad eats, but that's not a good comparison. We shouldn't compare how we're eating to other people either, because I think that's a big mistake people make. Well, I eat better than the rest of the world, but if it's still sabotaging your health and you're still not getting your hormones balanced and you're still not getting your period, or you're still, getting really bad cramping, or any of those things, you're still trying to figure it out. I'm not saying what anybody's doing is right or wrong. It's just like if you're still trying to figure out what's happening, then let's take a deeper look. That's what I'm doing today with you guys. Let's take a deeper look into some of the foods that I know all of us eat, and I have it in some of my recipes, so it's not about, who's right, who's wrong. It's like we're just shining the microscope on what we're eating. I just want to see some of the comments. Larissa says, good night from Moscow. Hi, Larissa. And then we've got Claudia saying, have you tried Big Tree Farms coconut aminos? Yes, I have. And the last time I was looking for them, because I wanted to actually carry them on my website, they didn't quite have them. It was last April, though, quite available here in the States yet. They were getting ready to have them available, so I'm guessing by that comment that they have them. I've tried them, but I can't comment on them because I don't use them currently in my house. But Big Farm, she's talking about Big Tree Farms. That's another good one. Claudia says, that was Claudia's comment there. So, yeah, Caitlin's writing them down for me because it's kind of hard for me to see. My phone's a little far away. Let's see. Why do people think that going raw totally cures everything? Yeah, that's a good question. Well, I think part of that is there was, when we first went raw, our friend David Wolf, who I love, was telling everybody that cooked food is poison. So some people think that if you eat one cooked food, you're guilty or you're bad or wrong. And that's another myth I wanted to dispel. There's no such thing as bad and wrong. Like when it comes to food, food is nourishing. Food is feeding us. Food is healing us. So this really isn't about like, oh, this person's good or this person's bad, or he eats all raw, so he gets the trophy, and she doesn't eat all raw, so, oh, when I saw her eating this. It's not about that. If you can eat gluten and feel amazing, more power to you. There are a few people on the planet that don't have gluten intolerance, but I have a feeling about 98% of us do have gluten intolerance. We just don't know it from all the information I've read. So just keep taking a look at that. And what I would encourage you to do, and this is what we do during our boot camp love camps that we promote every season. So our next one is coming up in April. And I'll give you guys some discount codes and stuff at the end so you can get a discount on that one. But what we teach you guys is just taking a look at, the diet and what's working and what's not, and just incorporating some of these new foods in and trying like eliminating gluten for a week. So our love camp boot camp has no gluten in it, even though it's a cooked and raw plant-based diet. I'm not encouraging grains, really, very little brown rice, some quinoa, but for the most part, we're just going for all the healthy, like cooked beets and butternut squash and things like that if you're cooking, like steamed veggies with yummy raw sauces. And we're trying to really get people off the gluten and off these processed foods and making more foods at home. So gluten's a big one, soy's a big one. I just talked about it. Creates phytoestrogens, which are, like mock estrogens, which can mess up boys and girls. And boys, we have to be even, everybody, it's important, but boys even more careful because it can mess with their growth hormones when they're just going into puberty. And, you know, men, I think, sometimes feel like they don't really need to look at their health deeper because they don't experience symptoms the way women do. I think women are just a little more sensitive to what's going on in our body. I'm not saying all men, because I know some amazing high vibe men that are super clean on their diet and they know exactly what's happening. But that's the other thing, is once you start cleaning up your diet, you become like a student of your body, and you start to notice, like, I can feel something in the right corner of my colon and it hasn't moved for a day, and it must be because I ate all those almonds yesterday. I mean, that's the scientific level that I got down to when I first went 100% raw. I knew where things were in my colon. I could feel little lumps and kind of move them along. I knew as soon as I ate something, my tongue would swell up, or it would start to feel raw, or I would feel an aching on the roof of my mouth. That's one symptom I get from foods I'm allergic to. And gluten's one of them, but, you know, other foods, if I eat something, I notice for me, actually, even certain raw foods like nuts or seeds, sometimes after a fast, my roof of my mouth cramps up, which is a sign to me that it's an allergy, even though that's not a big deal, and it's like I can live with it, but it's my body talking to me. So how is your body talking to you? Also, on the other side of that, like, I'm talking about people that get overheated, but what about if you're always cold? You know, people are like very thin, and that's great. Like, if you're very thin, maybe you're very thin naturally. But if you're always cold, you know, what's going on with your thyroid? What's going on in your body? What are you not eating? You know, what are you not balancing in your life? Maybe you need more warming foods. And if you're not eating cooked foods, maybe you need more warming spices or some cooked hot teas. So there's just ways that we can start noticing the symptoms. Like, being freezing all the time is a symptom. If we were living out in caves in nature, that person would not survive the winter. So it's not natural to be always freezing, and it's also not natural to be hot all the time. So we need to be able to survive in hot temperatures and feel good, and cold temperatures and feel good. So here in the desert, it's perfect for me because I can see what my body's doing throughout the year, because in the summer, it gets really hot here. So if I'm feeling overheated, I'm like, well, I'm not balanced. And in the winter now, if I'm feeling freezing and walking around all the time freezing because it's 30 degrees this morning, and that probably some of you guys think that's warm, but that is below freezing. You know, I have to take a look at if I was all the time, am I out of balance? So this is what we're doing. We're taking a look. So another thing that might be sabotaging your health is just grains in general. Now, one thing I've been working on, I would say for the last year, and definitely now in 2017, well, it's only been a month, but I can say I haven't had any grains this month. That's just one thing I'm looking at for myself, of like, I want to eliminate all grains. And that's where I'm at 20 years into this journey, actually more than 20 years, because I was doing organic and vegetarian before I got into raw foods. But I'm looking at, okay, is it time for me to completely give up grains? Because a lot of the vegans that I meet, or a lot of people that, you know, I'm using vegans as an example because there's a big group of vegans that I talk to on a regular basis. They're plant-based, they're doing stuff, but they're still eating a lot of things like corn tortillas. And corn is what they use to fatten cows. And it's also probably GMO. I mean, I know you can buy some non-GMO things, and I know popcorn, according to someone I met, says it's never GMO because they can't make popcorn GMO because it's a different kind of corn. But that's neither here nor there. What I find with myself when I eat popcorn or any kind of corn is, again, overheating. So grains are a heating food. They're also high in carbohydrates, but they're high in mold and fungus, and just generally are not a healthy food. And I'm going to stand by that. I'm going to honestly say, I don't think anybody who we tested their blood before they ate corn and after they ate corn would say, I'm doing better as a result of eating corn. So that's another grain. And then things like Ezekiel bread, or these sprouted, like, oh, but it's flour-free bread. It's all sprouted grains. Okay, if you're coming off the standard American diet and you've been eating hamburgers with white bread and sandwiches with white bread, okay, yes, Ezekiel bread's going to be a way step up. But at some point, you got to take a look at, are grains serving my body? Let me see. We have some new comments. Hi, Nick. Let's see. There's a quick. Oh, Blessing's here. Hi, Blessing. She says that I can't see what she said.
She just said that you're having your life.
Oh, okay. Cool. Sorry, I think Caitlin, if we have questions, Caitlin will answer them because I don't want to stand here squinting and reading the lines. Okay, so what's another health sabotage? So I talked about grains, and that does include rice. You know, maybe white rice, white basmati rice, of all the rices, even more than brown rice, I've found through studies, through people who I know have studied people's blood and studied the brain, the body chemistry, is actually easier to digest and a better grain than most other grains out there. So if you just have to have your grain, hi Chad Jewel, that might be just something you eat once a month, once in a while. So it's not about like getting this food and like eating a lot of it, but it's not about also depriving and starving. So I'm going to talk about some things we can add in as we're taking them out. But right now I'm just talking about foods that might be sabotaging your health. So grains in general, you might just want to take a look at that, especially if your cupboard is full of grains right now, or it's something you do as a go-to late at night. If you can clear it out of your house, even just for a week, and see, put it all in the garage in a box. It's kind of like that trick with the feng shui where you take everything out of your drawers, and if you have to go to the garage to get it out of the box if you need it, so you know that's something that you need in your kitchen. Let's do that with some foods that are maybe questionable foods, and put them in a box or put them in the outdoor fridge, and we're not going to touch them for a week or two, and see how you feel. So that way you're not throwing them out yet, but then if you introduce them back in, see how you feel after you introduce them back in. The other thing that I feel like sabotages people is eating out. Now, we all are always looking to have entertainment, and going out to eat is a great way to entertain ourselves, but I can probably, close to guarantee you that most restaurants you go to, even if it says olive oil on their menu for the salad dressing, they're cutting it with canola oil. From what I understand, most olive oils now are being cut with other oils like vegetable oils and corn oil and canola oil. And guess how they're storing those terribly bad oils, which are bad to begin with? They're storing them in these weird little plastic vats, like that flexible plastic. And oil is known as whenever you're trying to get something off, you use oil to remove it, right? So what is that called when something is not an emulsifier, but it's a way of stripping things off. So we use oils to clean things. Like women for years have used Pond's cold cream to clean their skin. Coconut oil, as we know, will melt rubber if you leave it on there. So anytime oils are stored in these plasticky vats, you're going to be getting whatever toxins are coming from that. And maybe to you it doesn't seem like a big deal, like, oh, it's no big deal, I'm just eating out here and there, but it can add up. And the only reason I'm talking about this, I'm not talking to you guys who are listening who are 100% healthy and you're like, I eat out and I feel great. I'm talking to people that they've got something going on and they can't figure it out. Like, why are my hormones still out of balance? Why am I dragging myself through the day? Why do I wake up groggy? Why am I, irritable? So these are the people I'm talking to. If you're eating out, there's a lot of things they're putting in your food that you just don't know about. They usually I went to a Thai food restaurant. That was kind of like one of the last cooked foods I gave up as far as eating out. Because I was like, oh, I can go to Thai food because it's just coconut oil, coconut milk and vegetables, and it's still pretty healthy. So then I went in one day and I asked the waiter, I'm like, is there anything on the menu that doesn't have sugar in it? And he's like, I don't know, let me ask. And so then I would go, kind of went through a few things on the menu and said, what about this? What about, I knew the pad thai had sugar in it, but like, what about this coconut soup? He comes back, nope, there's sugar in that. So by the time we got through the whole menu, I didn't even end up ordering anything. I ended up leaving, and I realized they're dumping sugar, and they dump that Kikkoman soy sauce into Thai foods when you eat out. So you're getting the gluten, you're getting the sugar, you're getting the bad oils, and you're not getting organic. And so I'm just saying that eating out might be something you still enjoy doing, but if you are having a health challenge or any like little issue, losing weight, or just cleaning up something, a really bad BO, or you always have bad breath, or your teeth are starting to rot, or your gums are receding. I don't know, it could be anything. But I'm just talking today, for those of you guys who just tuned in, is like, what are we doing that could be sabotaging our health? I'm not here to be Miss Extreme and be like, oh, don't do this and don't do that. I'm being a detective with you guys right now. Like, what are we all doing that we could be doing better if we really want to live optimally? And what my whole thing is about is living optimally, living really well. So let's just keep taking a look at that. Let's keep shining the microscope on what you're doing. And if what you're doing is working for you right now, you might want to say, okay, for the month of February, I'm going to give this up. And then if it seems like my health doesn't change it all, then I'll go back to it. It's not about giving things up forever. But what I found when I got into raw and I started eating really healthy, I'm like, oh yeah, when I heal this candida, I'm gonna have bread again and I'm gonna go back to my old food because all I have to do is fix it and then go back. But that wasn't the case. After I got into it and I started feeling so amazing, eating, like not eating gluten, not eating dairy, not eating processed foods, I was like, no way, I'm not going back to that. I feel too good. And then I started to fall in love with these foods. So it was really just about switching gears. But a good trick to play on your inner child or your mind or whatever you want to call it is to tell that little girl or little boy, you can have it later. You know, we'll go back to that in March. But for this month, we're going to try it this way. Instead of saying, you can never, ever, ever have it again, because I will tell you that when I've done that, even to this day, if someone else especially tells me, you can't have that, I want to have it. It's kind of like saying, don't look at that, don't think about a pink elephant, like you're going to think about a pink elephant. So you got to kind of trick your mind a little bit and say, we're going to do this, but you can have it later. You can go out to eat in March. So just maybe try for the month of February eating at home. And there's just so many amazing recipes and easy ways you can do things. And if you guys stay tuned to the end, I'm going to show you guys how to make a really fun tahini beet dressing and also a curried carrot dressing. So stay tuned for that because those are simple, easy things you can do. Constance asks, can quinoa be eaten raw? She tried making quinoa flour and it didn't work for her. Okay, so quinoa, yes, can be eaten raw, but you need to sprout it. So those of you guys, if I could hear you guys, I'm sure I would hear certain people like Allie and Sally when I ask the question, what are on nuts and seeds and unsoaked grains that we don't want? What would you say? You would probably say things like enzyme inhibitors, phytates, acid like tannic acids. That's correct. So when you take something like quinoa and you don't soak it, you're going to be getting a lot of acidity on it. You're also going to be getting all the dirt from wherever it was stored. I've been to places like Ecuador, I've been to places like Bali, I've been to places like Thailand, and I can tell you firsthand that when I see grains drying, they're usually out on the street with chickens and dogs running on top of the rice, running on top of these different grains, and I'm sure quinoa is very similar. So if you're taking something like that and not rinsing it first, you're going to be getting a lot of bacteria, a lot. And bacteria alone can be sabotaging your health. Just the mycotoxins can be sabotaging your health. So you really want to take a look at when you're eating grains like quinoa, you want to soak them first, even just for 20 minutes. And then what I would do with quinoa is soak it for 20 minutes and then take a splash of hydrogen peroxide, the food grade, and just put it in the water and let it soak for like 10 minutes or so. And you'll see it kind of foam up, and then rinse that really well in a colander or strainer under running water. And then you could cook it up after that. Or if you want to sprout it, you would, after you drain it, you would let it sit overnight in a colander or with a jar with a screen upside down and let it start to sprout. And sprouted quinoa is actually really yummy. It's got like a nuttiness to it. So, and I would say even if you're cooking it, to sprout things first. Sprout your beans first, sprout your quinoa first, sprout anything you can, or soak it at least before you cook it. It's going to make a big difference in the digestibility of it. So that's another thing. If you are eating grains still and you're like, I'm not ready to give them up, just make sure you're soaking them first or soaking and sprouting them first. Okay, the next thing that we do that sabotages our health, so if you're someone who's eating a plant-based diet and maybe you're eating a high percentage of raw, which is someone like me, I would say I eat in the winter maybe 75% raw, and in the summer 80 to 90% raw. And I don't really care about percentages. For me, I kind of know in my mind that's about what my diet is. And so if you're eating a lot of raw foods, one thing that a lot of us tend to do that give up grains is we start eating too many nuts. And I am definitely one of those people who has done that in the past. So there's nothing wrong with nuts inherently. I mean, walnuts are amazing. Almonds are great. There's Brazil nuts, there's hazelnuts, but they can be more acid forming than other things, than seeds even. And they also, they're hard to digest, and there's a lot of fat in them. And I'm not someone who's fat-free at all. I'm not even low fat in my diet, but the liver still has to process fat. So if you haven't been cleaning your liver on a regular basis, and I'll get more into that in another talk, But liver cleanses are super important because it's helping us digest our fat. We need more bile. I can guarantee that most of people that are here today probably could do with a good liver flush. And I'm due for one as well, so I'm going to do one, I think, in February. So when you do a liver flush, you actually help clean out your liver and your fats digest better. So, let's see, Ali says, enzyme inhibitors. Yes, Ali. A little late, but I got you. So let's see. I was talking about too many nuts. Yeah, so just kind of keep that down because the liver has to process it and it makes us sluggish, it makes us tired. And when we're taxing our liver, then the liver doesn't get a chance to clean out other things. So everything's tied together. All of our organs are working harmoniously. And I know I focused a lot on the liver, but all of our organs are super important. Our kidneys, our heart, our lungs, our spleen, you know, nothing is unimportant. We need all of them. But the liver seems to be the powerhouse of organs that kind of is tied to everything else. So take a look at whether you need to do a liver cleanse. You can just go to purejoyplanet.com, check out our courses, and there's a really inexpensive guided liver flush, $49, that you can go and do your own guided liver flush and learn a lot more about your liver. And I definitely recommend you do that. But so watch how many nuts you're eating. And if you have a recipe, even from me, for almond milk or for a nut milk or for a pate with nuts, just switch it to pumpkin seeds or sunflower seeds or hemp seeds. Hemp is a great one. You can even use chia seeds as part of it. To look at things like that. And the other thing, the next one, is fats and oils. So I talked about fats a little bit, but oils. So when you're eating, and this is a new thing for me, I would say in the last 6 months to a year, I've really started looking about how much oil I'm using. Because I was one of those raw food chefs who was like, oh, you know, dump more oil in because oil is flavorful and it's a great transition food, which it is. So if you're transitioning from cooked food right now and you're used to eating fried rice, and you do my rice recipe, which is like a raw fried rice, a healthy fried rice, it has a lot of olive oil and sesame oil in it. So that's great as a transition, but you want to start taking a look at how much oil you're eating. And oils, the reason for that is because it's freed. I call it like a free oil because it's freed from the olive or it's freed from the seed. And when you eliminate all the fiber, your body just processes it differently. It's not a whole food anymore. So if you do want to eat oil, the trick that I would say is, like, if you're eating olive oil in a salad, put some olives on there, because the body, the brain, the mind, the whole system thinks, okay, there's olives, so this olive oil must be part of the olive. So then it's not as detrimental as just eating olive oil without the olives. Same with any kind of like sesame oil, use some sesame seeds with it, or just use tahini, which I'm going to do today instead of oil. So I've switched over to now using seed butters or coconut butter as my fat in salad dressings instead of using the free oils in dressings. And that's just something like a new one for me. So if you're just tuning in or you're watching this and you're like, wow, this woman's extreme, like she doesn't even need oil anymore. I'm just talking about, like, if you have a health challenge and you want to fix something, let's just take a look. If you do fine on oils, which I did for years, and I still probably do, I just was like, I just want to see what it's like to not eat oils for a while. And I know it's easier on my liver to not eat oils. The next thing that might be sabotaging your health, and I think most of you guys who are watching probably know this, but sweets and like things like too many dates. And I'm not saying don't put like one date in your salad dressing, or if you're making a green smoothie and you wanted to put a date in or something. But I'm just talking about people that are like, oh, it's raw. Like whoever commented earlier about everything. Why do people think that just because it's raw, it's healthy? That's the mistake a lot of people make. They start eating like dates stuffed with almond butter and they're like, yum, 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 it's raw, it's raw, it's raw. And then they're just wondering why they're having so many, digestive issues, or they're gassy, or they're just not digesting well, or that skin problem, or that, BO problem, whatever it is, isn't going away. Maybe you're eating too many sweets, you're eating too many dates, and you're eating too many raisins, or you're dumping in agave. And if you guys are anybody that's watching is still eating agave, that is a definite give that up ASAP. Because it's just not a health food, and it's actually really hard on your liver. It's like high fructose corn syrup for your liver. So, a little bit of honey, like a scoop of it. So you want to think of sweeteners in the teaspoon amount. Like, oh, I'm making chocolate, I'm going to add some maple syrup, or I'm going to add some honey. Not dumping, it's a teaspoon here and there, and like bumping up the sweetness with stevia. Because all these sweets are really hard on the pancreas, and it helps us. We overproduce insulin when we eat a lot of sweet foods, and insulin is a death and aging hormone. So insulin's a hormone. So along with that, whenever our insulin spikes, that's what causes the sugar crash. And then other hormones have to kind of come into play to help balance it. And you're just making your hormones work way too hard. So if you are out of balance with your hormones, and how does hormone imbalance look? It depends on your age. But I'm meeting women in their 20s that are experiencing hormone imbalances. So it really just, it could be a number of things you're experiencing. It could be moodiness. Think of, like for women, think of anything with PMS. If you're moody, if you're bloaty, if you're crampy, if you're irritable, like any of those things are probably hormonal, right? And like think of a pregnant woman, oh, she's hormonal. So we don't want, and why are pregnant women hormonal? Probably because they're not eating a balanced diet, or they still need to figure it out. It's not that all pregnant women need to be hormonal. So let's just take a look at what could be causing hormone imbalances. I'm sorry, for men, I don't know what hormone imbalances look like, other than like maybe lowered testosterone, you're feeling more docile, your sex drive decreases. That happens with men and women. So let's take a look at all of us and like just help us be more whole. We want to create a whole planet, whole beings, because when people are feeling good and happy and whole, you're able to go out there and make a difference in the world. And that's really what I want to do, is help you guys to get healthy so we can all have the best planet ever, the best place to live, and take care of our environment. So I'm not going to go on my soapbox about that because I don't have a whole lot of time. I want to move on. Eating late at night, and I'm guilty. Raise your hand if you're guilty of that. Yay! But that could sabotage your health, because some of us are able to be stricter than others, and usually the people that I know that are like, I never eat late at night, is because they can't sleep, or they toss and turn, or you know, they just aren't digesting and they wake up like, oh, I still feel the food in my stomach. Unfortunately for me, that's not my issue, because I do have a pretty good digestive fire. I sleep like a baby if I eat late at night, and I'm usually pretty happy unless I do a really bad combo. So for me, it's more just about the discipline of not eating late at night, because I know it's just not optimal for our health. So 3 hours before bedtime, so if you're a 10 o'clocker, by 7 p.m., set that alarm on your iPhone and have it go off every day, or on your calendar that beeps up, time to stop eating. Get that meal in by 6 o'clock. Start making your dinner at 5 or 5:30, so that by 6 you're eating and you're finishing up before 7. And you could even have time for a quick, you know, something, a little sweet treat at night if you want, but be done by 7. And then after 7, from 7 to 10, if you're reading or watching a movie or socializing, that's when you have your nice herbal teas, your digestive teas like your ginger, your peppermint, your chaga tea with a little bit of ginger in there for digestion, aiding your digestion. And there's even essential oils you can drop in to help with the digestion. There's one called Digest Aid, I think by Young Living. So just taking a look at that. Those are just some health sabotages. And if you do, so this is, as we know, because we're human and we get the free will, we're not robots, yay for us. Because I don't want to be a robot. Do you want to be a robot? Nobody wants to be a robot. We want free will. We don't want someone like me standing there going, no, no, no. Yes, yes, yes. But we do have free will. And I think deep inside, if we all checked in, we know this works, this doesn't. I'm still doing this thing that's not working. One of them could be overeating, because, oh, that was so good. I want 3 servings instead of 1. And I do that sometimes too. So what are some things that can help us with overeating or eating late at night? Or you wake up in the morning and you're still like, it's like not feeling that great. Digestive enzymes. So that's one thing you want to like have in your arsenal, in your cupboard. So the first thing is digestive enzymes, and the second thing is charcoal, activated charcoal. So what charcoal can do is, if you do go out and have that glass of wine, which you know feeds candida, wine feeds candida more than anything on the planet, don't use it as an excuse to go drink wine or eat cake when you're out, or if you eat at a restaurant. I would always take charcoal before and after, probably, but definitely after, before you go to bed. So activated charcoal, like 2 to 3 capsules or up to a handful, kind of tune into that. And I know not everybody has that intuition, so if you're not sure, just read the label on the bottle and take the recommended dose. But you're gonna wake up feeling much better than you would have if you hadn't taken the charcoal, because it'll absorb the toxins. So the digestive enzymes that I recommend, and I'm gonna give a whole talk on different types of enzymes. There's 3 types of enzymes, which we're gonna talk about next week. Digestive, raw enzymes, which are in the food, and metabolic enzymes, which are amazing, systemic enzymes, which are super healing. So I'll get more into detail all about those next week. But right now, I'm talking about taking digestive enzymes if you are experiencing overeating or eating late at night, or you ate the wrong food. This is my favorite enzyme. We sell these. It's called Power Plus enzymes, and I have had people telling me for years because I use these during my liver flush. Although now I don't, because now we've upgraded the liver flush enzymes to the systemic enzymes. These are actually digestive enzymes. And if I'm talking too fast and you're not sure about enzymes, we'll talk about this more next week. Joni asked, which activated charcoal do I recommend for when we do ingest items that we don't think work for us? I currently I went on, well, you know, Bulletproof has a good charcoal enzyme. It's bulletproof.com, but Thrive Market has one, and that's where I ordered mine last. So just go on Thrive Market and type in activated enzymes, and any of theirs are going to be awesome. I have a charcoal powder, but I don't like it as much because you got to stir it in water and drink it, and if you overdo it, you can get constipated. So the capsules just seem to work for me. Let's see. So in the digestive enzymes, you want to make sure you're taking, like, I take 3 to 5 as a dose, and that's really going to help. So an example of how digestive enzymes work is if you took a bowl of oatmeal, which I don't eat, but I would take a bowl of cooked oatmeal, open up an enzyme capsule, actually liquefy the food. So that's how you know it's working, because it'll liquefy something. So if in your case, maybe you eat pumpkin, take an enzyme next time you cook up some pumpkin and pour 1 capsule over the top and see if it starts to liquefy it. That way you know it's working. But I'm not going to spend too much time on enzymes. I'll talk about this next week. We're doing, for those of you who just tuned in, we're doing Facebook Friday every Friday. So tune in next Friday, and I might have one before that, but for sure next Friday I'll be doing one. Mesquite and lucuma as sweeteners, are they like stevia or better? So yes, mesquite and stevia, mesquite and lucuma, I think are better sweeteners than stevia, and here's why. Because a lot of stevia, unless you're using the green powder, are more processed. Whereas mesquite, all it is the pods ground down into a flour, so they're like a whole food. They've just been ground, which is awesome. If you live in Arizona, then you can get really fresh mesquite, because this is where it grows. And I know it grows in Costa Rica, it grows in other places in the world. But lucuma and mesquite can be used as sweeteners, but mesquite's not super sweet. It kind of reminds me of the flavor of corn pops. Like I used to eat corn pops as a kid. They're these little corn balls that you eat as a cereal. And I would say lucuma is good, like in your chocolate, things like that, but it might not be sweet enough. So make sure if you're using lucuma as a sweetener, maybe add a little pinch of Celtic salt or something with it. So yeah, I would definitely, if you have a choice between stevia and lucuma, use lucuma. And you can try mesquite as well. Just realize that your food's not going to be very sweet. But that might be perfect for you, because I'm meeting a lot more people these days that are trying to get rid of the sweet taste. Allie says, they are the best, make you feel great. Oh, that's the enzymes, when you're overfull or bloated. Yes, definitely on the enzymes. Thanks, Allie. Okay, so anything else I want to cover? Well, I'm going to get into the demo in a second here. We're going to be doing, and this recipe is actually on the website. I'm going to be doing an orange beet tahini dressing. Beets are in season this time of year if you're living on this hemisphere. Sorry, Allie, I know you're in Australia. But beets are a great one, and if you live in a warm climate right now, then you can use another vegetable. It really doesn't matter what vegetable you use, but today I'm going to use beets. So it's a yummy sauce that you can put over lots of things like steamed broccoli and steamed butternut squash, or also on salads like arugula, the winter greens right now. You could even marinate some kale with it. Today I'm going to put it over a zucchini noodle, because zucchinis are still in season here. We can still get them at Farmers, which surprises me. Maybe after this freeze we won't be able to get them. So I do want to talk to you guys a little bit about the Love Camp that we're doing starting April 3rd. If you're tuning in right now and you're like, I want to learn more about plant-based eating, I want more raw foods, but I don't want to be all raw, but I want to learn more about raw, I want to learn more about plant-based foods, I want to learn some really healthy, yummy, cooked and raw recipes, and I want to get guidance for a whole month, then our Love Camp, it was called Boot Camp before, now it's called Love Camp, but I call it Boot Camp Love Camp because we love you up. It's not about kicking your butt, it's about loving you up. That starts next April 3rd. Allie Stringer, who you've seen commenting here, is our health coach. She's our fitness guru, our fitness coach. And then Caitlin is our alchemist. She's into the herbals. She knows a lot about healing and supplementing. She's healed herself from celiacs. And then me, I'm like, you know, we're all giving talks on Mondays, but talking about different things like food combining and just superfoods and all kinds of stuff. So we give you lessons. There's a whole course on it. You can tune in right now on purejoyplanet.com, go to courses. And just for you guys listening, and from today through Sunday only, this Sunday, so you have like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 3 days, to get 10% off with this code. So it's normally $200, so you'll get it for $180. And just put in the code SPRINGLOVE. No capitals, no spaces, just all SPRINGLOVE. And you'll get that till February 1st, which is Monday, but like midnight on Sunday. You'll get that discount if you type that in. So join us for the Love Camp, and you guys are going to be blown away at how much you get for $180. Like, I'm still like saying to Caitlin, we're giving so much for $180. So if you're not sure what to do, like if you want to learn more about healthy eating, but you don't know where to start, and you're seeing some of my courses online, like the level 1 training and the advanced courses and the certifications, and you're like, I'm not sure what I want, start with our Bootcamp Love Camp. And we do give you some videos in there as well, not as many as we do in the other courses, but you're going to learn a lot about raw foods and about vegan foods and about plant-based and all of it. So a lot of ingredients we talk about too. So check that out. So now, without further ado, I'm going to get into our recipe. Kara says thank you. Is that Kara or Cora? Sorry, I can't see that far. I need to drink some water too. This is my MSM water. And if you guys want me to, I can talk about MSM next Friday about supplements and what I like to take. I'm not a big supplement taker, but I do have a few of my favorites, and one of them is MSM. My throat just got really dry. Are you guys, if you're taking our Boot Camp Love Camp right now, because we're starting our 4th week on Monday, so a lot of you guys might be part of the boot camp. Make sure you go and drink your water, because we have you guys drinking 2 of these a day. So all of you listening, stop right now and drink some water, because you're probably dehydrated because of the heat, and just heaters are on this time of year. Okay, let's get started. So I'm going to just make this up because I don't have the recipe in front of me, but it is on the website. So go to purejoyplanet.com, click on recipes. At the top right side, you'll see recipes. You're going to want to join the mailing list, because every time I come up with a new recipe, or Caitlin comes up with a new recipe, we usually post it. So we post like 1 or 2 recipes a month. We put it in our newsletters. We send you guys out blog links and stuff. So join our mailing list. We're not going to bombard you like maybe twice a month. We're going to let you know when we have new courses. We're going to let you know whatever I'm learning. Like if I'm hearing a new thing, I'm meeting someone that's like, they just got the next level to your health, I'm going to be sharing that. I don't keep secrets. I promise you. It's somewhere you're going to hear about it. So get on our mailing list. Now it's time to start with this dressing. So if you can follow that recipe exactly on the website, so just go to purejoyplanet.com, click recipes. It's the beet tahini orange, I think that's what it's called, orange tahini style dressing. Caitlin just wrote it down for me, thank you. That makes my life easier. But I do like to get in the kitchen now that I know recipes and kind of sometimes make stuff up. That can be really fun. So we're going to do 1/3 cup of tahini. Now this tahini is, we put it in our own glass jar because we had a big tub of it, but it's from Viva Pura. So if you guys are wondering where to get some of the best products on the planet, Chris Songa, or Chris Cowan, who owns Viva Pura, he's a sourcer. He's one of those hunters. He finds the best products on the planet. They stone grind their own tahini. You're not going to find tahini like this anywhere. I have not found it anywhere else. So you want to get the Viva Pura tahini. You can go to vivapura.com and get it, or you can find it at some of the Whole Foods, some of the natural grocers. I know in Arizona they have them, because that's where he's from. So anyway, 1/3 cup of tahini, and I'm just going to eyeball it. Because, 1 1/3. Thank you. 1 1/3 cup tahini. This is going to make a really big batch. But guess what? This will last for 2 weeks in your fridge. And once you've made it, you're going to be like, where's that sauce? Everybody's going to want it. So make a big batch of this. Okay? I'm going to grab a spatula. All right, so get that tahini in there. And then the next thing you're going to want to add is some lemon juice, 1/2 cup. So this is citrus season for us here in Arizona. We've got citruses, oranges growing like crazy, and lemons and all kinds of stuff. So we're going to put in 1/2 cup. I do need some lemon juice. 1/2 cup of lemon juice. Claudia says doing the Love Camp right now. Yay! Yay, Claudia! First time eating whole plant-based, and I'm amazed how good I'm feeling. Yay, Claudia! Thank you for telling me that. That's awesome. All right, so we got lemon juice, which our friend owns a lemon tree, Jeanette. Shout out to Jeanette. She brought us a bunch of lemons. So if you know a friend, if you live in somewhere where there's citrus growing, do your own lemon and then freeze it. So we need 1/2 cup. So I'm just going to eyeball 1/2 cup of lemon juice. If you do freeze in a glass jar, make sure that you don't fill it all the way full. You would want to fill it to about here. Freeze it sideways so that the liquid can expand up versus sideways, because if it's upright like this, it's going to crack the jar, but if it's sideways, I can't show you because I don't have the lid on, but it'll expand better and the glass won't crack. And you do want to freeze in glass, not plastic, because plastic can do weird things. Okay, salt. We need a teaspoon of salt. I've been Himalayan girl for a long time, but now I've switched to Celtic salt because Celtic's actually got more electrolytes in it. And I do still use Himalayan. I love all salts, but right now I'm super into the Celtic, which I was into when I first started. So anybody out there, I think Sally might have my recipe books. All those recipes usually say Celtic salt because Himalayan wasn't really a thing back then, believe it or not. So I'm going to use a teaspoon of Celtic. And Celtic is a gray salt, and it's a living salt, so it's like really moist. It's never been heated, which is really awesome. Okay, so now we're going to put in some 3/4 cup of water. We definitely need water in this, because otherwise it won't blend. That's about 3/4. I'm kind of eyeballing it. 1 to 2 cloves of garlic or ginger. So if you're someone who doesn't do well on garlic, and you want still that spicy pungency, this is something we talk about with flavor balancing, you can put in some ginger. So this is organic ginger and it's been washed, so I don't need to peel it. I'm just going to throw in a few chunks, but I'm also going to throw in some garlic because this time of year especially, we want to keep our immune system high. Garlic can have little sprouts in them, and we don't want that in our recipe because sprouts are what make it hot. And if you've ever been a victim of eating, I call it a victim because it happened to me one time. Someone served me these really amazing garlic cauliflower raw mashed potatoes, and they were so garlicky and I could not sleep. I was like, I'm awake. So if you've ever had that happen to you, it's the sprout in the garlic. And if you're a meditator and you're like, I just feel monkey mindy and I don't sit still if I've eaten garlic, sometimes it's just that sprout can make all the difference. So now I hollowed out the sprout so you can do that, and that check and see. This is another food hacking thing we're doing. Diary, put in your food diary. I ate garlic all week without the sprout. How do I feel? Oh, I didn't notice anything in my meditation. I felt great. Then the next week, add the garlic with the sprout like normal and see if it changes things. If you're sweating more, sometimes people get sweaty BO from garlic. So just check your body and try different things. I love just figuring out what works for me. The last thing is orange juice. And it says 2 tablespoons of orange juice, but this is an extra step that you don't need to do. But if you want it to be really orangey, these are actually little tangerines. You can just zest a little bit of zest in there, and it's going to add that more of that orangey flavor, which I'm just really into right now. I've been doing a lot of these kinds of dressings with just a little orange zest. And then we'll just cut this orange open, use our little citrus squeezer. I hope you guys can see. Yeah, you guys can see. And then just squeeze. These have a lot of seeds. Seeds are good. Does anybody know why seeds are good? You guys can type it in if you know why it's good to have an orange with seeds versus an orange without seeds. Does anybody know why? Hi, Auntie Newton. Hi, Cherry. Okay, I'm going to give you guys one more second to answer. Kathleen just joined. Hi, Kathleen. All right, the reason we want seeds in our food is because if something doesn't have a seed, GMO, well, that could be one reason. I'm not sure about the GMO, but that could be, Elizabeth. But the other reason is because what about women? When our eggs are fertile, when we can make babies, what are we? We're more healthy. So, or same with men, like if they're fertile. So if it doesn't have a seed, it's not fertile. You can't take an orange and throw it on the ground. If it doesn't have a seed, there's no new orange trees growing. So we want the fertile, most viable foods we can get. So watermelons with seeds, please. Oranges with seeds, lemons with seeds. Don't be trying to get these GMO, GMO hacked foods that we've hybridized the seeds out for you. Aren't we special? Aren't we great? No, you're not. You're messing with nature. Next thing is you're going to hybridize our eggs out of the women. So stop that. We don't like things without seeds. Enough said. Okay, so oranges with seeds, good. The last thing is our beet. But I'm not going to put it in yet because I'm going to do 2 kinds of dressings today. So this is going to turn into 2 different sauces because we like variety. I'm one of those people that could eat the same food every day for a week. If a lot of times I do because I'll make one sauce and be like, I'm just going to eat this for a while. But why not, and I teach this a lot in my courses, like if you're making flax crackers, why not divide it into 4 batches? And Kathy Kirchner, you know all about this. divide it into 4 or 2 batches and make 2 different flavors. That way you have 2 completely different things and you get variety and you get different nutrients in them. So this one we're just going to blend and have it be the basic tahini dressing. So you don't need to add beet. This is your basic yummy, super yummy tahini sauce. And guess what? You're making it at home. There's no oil added. It's a whole food. You know what's in it. It's awesome. Okay? All right, so, oh my gosh, I've been talking for an hour. I gotta stop talking so much, you guys, but thanks for sticking with me. There's like 24 of you guys now, so awesome. But look at that yummy, creamy, doesn't that look good? I'm gonna divide it into 2 blenders. It's always good to have a second blender. We have here at the house, because we run a culinary academy, we have like 4 blender pitchers, so we can have lots of different batches and things. But I would recommend, if you have a Vitamix or even a Blendtec, getting a second blender. Did you notice I said even a Blendtec? Have you guys read my blog on how to choose the right blender? I kind of diss Blendtec a little bit, and I'm sorry, but it's from personal experience. So I'm a Vitamix lover. What can I say? It's just a great blender. And it comes in different pitcher sizes, which I love. So we got 2 blenders here. What do we do? What do we do? We start with this one, and we put in a beet. I've got this beautiful red beet here. You can get golden beet too. But we need this red color in our body. How many foods have that beautiful purpley red color? Not many. So beets, I am crazy for beets right now. I'm buying like 2 beets every other day. I'm just putting them in things. I'm using them to dip into my yummy tahini dips and things like that. So I'm just gonna chop up, the recipe calls for half of a cup of chopped beets. So that's good enough. Maybe less because I have the recipe. So anyway, doesn't matter. You can make it up, something like that. I'm gonna put this so you guys can see me blending. There's my little blender. And make sure you get that lid on, people. We don't want a red ceiling or a green ceiling. I've been there. You know, if anything could happen, it's happened to me. I've had green splashed on my ceiling. I've had red flooding my floors. Half the time it's from not being present, not being in the moment, or not getting the lid on straight, which is part of that. So here we go. Wow, I can still hear it rattling. So beautiful. I just want to make sure there's no beet pieces in there. Nope. All right, so we got this gorgeous red dressing. And I got these cute little salad dressing bottles, and this is probably not going to be big enough, but you could also just use mason jars, like, you know, a jar like this. We have tons of mason jars around, but I think they're all in the dishwasher right now. I'm just going to use this as a way to pour it in. And I've got a gorgeous, oh, had a couple beet chunks in there, so I'll have to blend those up later. Make sure you blend long enough. Okay, so we've got one gorgeous bottle. You can start like your own factory production here of sauce. Give some to your neighbors. So label it beet tahini orange sauce. Then the next batch I'm going to do, I've got the blender, and I'm going to do carrot. These are super beautiful. I got them from Farmer's Market. They're really fresh. And like 1 fat carrot. So if you were going to do the whole batch, you could do like half a cup of carrot. So a lot of times with carrots, like I made something earlier and I had carrot scraps. So save those scraps and you can just go ahead and blend those in. And whatever else you got laying around, like a little end piece of zucchini, why not? So we'll blend that in. And make sure we get the right lid on there. Okay, so it's not turning orange, but I forgot to add the curry. So with this one, I was going to add a little curry powder to it because I just thought, you know, let's make it a little bit more festive. We got carrot in there, so it's like a curried carrot dressing. Maybe about a teaspoon of organic curry powder. Make sure you're buying organic. I like Frontier Herbs. This is actually an old bottle, so I had to relabel it. And that's the thing, to save these bottles and order 1-pound bulk bags, if it's your favorite spices like cumin, I go through a lot of cumin. That would be another great one if you don't like curry, but cumin. But the other day I talked about how great turmeric is, which is in curry, so that's a good one to add. So since it's I'm gonna need to blend a little longer, but hopefully it'll get a little oranger here. All right. I need that carrot blended out. It's like really stubborn. Woohoo! Sounds good. Okay, so when I pour it, you guys can see the color a little better. And if you want it to be oranger, just throw a little more carrot in, okay? It's a really pretty curry color though. So it's almost like a curry mayonnaise. You could put this over shredded carrots and do like a curried carrot salad. That would be super yummy. But what I'm gonna do with the rest of this sauce is I'm gonna just do a quick zucchini noodle, and then we'll put some sauce over the top. So here we got our two sauces together. Aren't they pretty? And I still have plenty to spare, so I could make probably 4 bottles of these with that recipe. So that's great to know. And then you've got sauce for a long time, and you don't have any excuses for not eating healthy. You can come home, steam up a quick batch of broccoli, or if it's wintertime, or butternut squash, and then pour that sauce over the top. It's like the perfect sauce. So let's see, I'm just gonna clear my little space off here, and then pull the board in the middle, and do a quick zucchini. I was hoping to be done by 3, and it's 3 now, so I'm just gonna 1-2 it. So what have I got? I'm just gonna use this mandolin today. Instead of using my spiralizer, which you guys probably have seen demonstrated, this is my julienne slicer. I love this thing. We carry it on Pure Joy Planet, and it's not very expensive. And it juliennes and it slices. It does a lot of great stuff. It's called the julienne slicer. So just type in the search bar julienne slicer if you're looking for this one. It has a lock button. I'm going to go on number 2, put it to julienne, because there's a side thing that says julienne or slice. It's pointing at julienne. And then I'm just going to use a bowl. You guys see that? Yeah. And you want to use a guard when you're doing this. But I usually start it without the guard just because it's a little easier to start. And then be smart and use a guard, because we value our fingertips, especially as chefs. It's not something you want to mess around with. So you just do the zucchini back and forth, goes both ways. And just, if you're nervous about using a mandolin, just stay present. Don't skip the guard, because that's why people cut themselves. They're like, I don't need a guard. And I know I've done it without a guard before and I've been fine, but you just need to be really present. So then we got a bowl of noodles. And normally, if you've taken my classes before, people like Allie and Cherry and anybody else out there, I usually salt them. But since this sauce is so thick, I don't really need to salt them. If it's a thin sauce, you want to salt them and drain the water off. But we're just going to go ahead and pour this sauce over. I'm going to do the red one because I think it'll be really pretty on there. So we're just going to pour the sauce over. And toss it up. Stir it into there. Gorgeous little red noodles. This is a perfect lunch, right? You're hungry, you come home, you need lunch. Stir up some sauce in there. Put it on a plate. You can top it with sprouts. Yay, Caitlin says. I'm going to give this to Caitlin. It's going to be a nice present for her. All right, this is a way to win people over, right? Win their hearts with a yummy, super good, some kind of pasta-y, noodly yumminess. See you guys next Friday or sooner. Don't forget to check out our online courses and send me some love. Love you guys. Thanks for joining. Bye.